We've got a pretty healthy supply of redstone blocks nowadays, but there are also some non-redstone blocks that have secret redstone uses. Even some of the designated redstone components have hidden features.
Here are 11 uses for blocks you might not have known about.
First, I'll start off with a few that I use with observers all the time. So if you've got a scenario like this where you need to take an observer output from both the redstone dust and the block it is placed on, but you also need the block the redstone dust is on to be powered, a dropper or dispenser would be perfect. Here are a couple scenarios where I use this feature. Now this one's controversial. I personally use these all the time, but more technical builders avoid them because they make a sound. I personally don't even play with audio on, so it doesn't bother me in the slightest. What makes them useful is that they turn on and off instantly. So with a setup like this, you don't get 2 pulses from the observer. Pretty much, they're just useful for quickly transporting signals through observers. If you didn't already know, redstone lamps turn on instantly, but they have a 2-tick delay when turning off. This means if you can power them with observers and then take an observer output, you can double the amount of pulses. I haven't used this unique feature much, but in the right situation, it could come in quite handy. If you play on Bedrock Edition, and you already know what I'm about to say, and I'm sorry I just reminded you how broken Bedrock Redstone is. When you click on a note block in Java, observers can detect it. This feature can be used like the previous 4 blocks, and they are the preferred block for most Java Redstoners. Like every block I've mentioned up to this point, pistons, outside of their typical use, can be used to transport signals with observers. You might be wondering, why should I use pistons instead of any of the other options? Well, I use them for a couple reasons. First off, you can get the longest reach with them. So if you're transporting a long line horizontally, since you can't use doors, pistons are the ideal option. Second, if you power a piston like this, with 3 observers detecting its movement, all 3 will be updated at the exact same time. If this is on the edge of a compact build, a setup like this is literally your only option. Now for a few blocks that could be super useful in the right situations. If you've ever needed a randomizer with more than a couple options, you might have been forced to use something like this, and you probably learned that using a sheep or some other animal is super annoying. So if that's you, I've got the perfect solution. With this simple circuit, you can randomly choose one of 9 options. Make it a little bigger, and you can have 15. Basically, you fill each shulker box up with the correct amount of blocks to give you every signal strength, and then dispense them out where they're read by a comparator before being destroyed and sent back into the system. Add a red coder to the end, and you've got arguably the best, easiest randomizer you could ask for. Here's another Java exclusive trick that's used quite often. So if you place a log on a sticky piston, and a leaf block anywhere alongside where the log will be once the piston extends, and you place an observer like this, you can detect when the log touches the leaf block. This isn't working because I play on Bedrock, but trust me, if you're a Java player, it works. Observers can detect the log against the leaves up to 6 blocks, so you can curl signals around circuitry. For each block of distance from the log, there is a 1-tick delay, so 2 ticks here and 5 ticks here. This means you can create a wave like this. These are basically just a substitute for redstone dust. If you need to send a signal to an observer like this, and you can afford some extra space, rails are probably your best bet. The reason they're superior in this type of situation is because they don't reroute into other redstone blocks, and they're more lag friendly. They also turn on instantly, if you need speed. This is more of a survival trick to use in a super smelter or any system where you need to evenly distribute items. So if you position one of these in the middle of a set of hoppers, it will separate whatever items you put in it equally into each hopper. I haven't used this feature any because I mostly build doors, but in the right situation, this could be a nice tip to know. Now, I'll get to some blocks that pair perfectly with comparators you might not know about. Yes, they have 2 secret uses. This feature, although it works for both versions, is targeted at Bedrock players. If you're working with comparators and you need to give them certain signal strengths, like this, then you're going to have to use barrels and cram your inventory with random blocks to fill them up. Now, a Java player will just go download a mod and their problems will be solved. But us Bedrockers don't exactly have that luxury. Thankfully, I have a solution. You can fill up a bunch of shulker boxes with the necessary blocks beforehand, and then have them infinitely. As you can see, I can easily change the signal strength around hassle-free. For these, all you need is a few bottles of water. With no water, you can see that the comparator picks up no signal. A third of the way full, you get a signal strength of 1, 2/3 of the way full, you get 2, and all the way full, you get a signal strength of 3. Each bottle of water you add to the cauldron will increase it by 1/3. Now, you will have to work with a low signal strength using this method, but it's really quick and easy, and there are plenty of scenarios where you only need a couple variations. So folks, that's it. I'm on a quest to 1,000 subscribers, so if you could subscribe, that'd really help me out. Only do it if you like my content, of course. And if you're looking for another cool Redstone video, consider checking this out. And with that, peace out.